Hello and welcome to this Project in a Box video. This is a guide to the methodologies that are available across our standard range of products. So let's get a look at that. So here we have the different methods we have available and the product range, and we can see some information about their availability. Most of the methods are available on all of the platforms. Some you may have to pay for, some are available with a number of different options, but generally most of them are available throughout. We're going to go through each of these in a bit of detail as we go on, but just to pick out some of the key things. We've got a set of free methods which are available everywhere, and that is the majority of them. Sometimes they're available in two different flavours, a flavour with Word and Excel documents and templates, and a flavour which use our PIABX templates, which are called iMethods. We have our own in-house family of methods, what we call the N-step methods, for small through to larger projects, which use PRINCE2 terminology and templates, but are not PRINCE2. We have also the full official PRINCE2 method. You have to buy that because it's royalty material. And we also have what we call the PRINCE2 Resource Pack, which is the pack of templates without all the processes and structure of PRINCE2. We have a couple of agile methods. We have the new practical Scrum method, and we have DSDM Atern. We have the Praxis Framework, currently one version of the Praxis Framework, one interpretation of it for small, low complexity projects. We also have a method for supporting sales process, that's the PPP method. And then we have some methods which are used on our multi-user platforms for supporting PMO type activities like lessons learned best practice and PMO best practice. And then finally there is the MSP, Program Management Method. Again, it's royalty material. We include that for free with Enterprise Edition, but on our other platforms you do need to pay for that if you want to use it. So wide range of different methods there, and availability broadly across most of the platforms. Some variation as we discussed there. The last thing is building your own methods. You can do this, or personalising the ones that you've got or have bought. You can do that on all the platforms apart from Community Edition. Okay, so let's drill a little bit deeper into all that. So, PRINCE2 Resource Pack. This is, as I said earlier, the standard set of 2017 PRINCE2 templates. We're actually the authors of the official template pack. They're reproduced for you here. There's no supporting material in terms of process structure. We do provide links to glossary and process and things like that. But if you want the further materials, you need to buy the fully licensed, full authentic PRINCE2 method, which we mentioned later. But it's really useful for helping people supporting their training. Like I say, it does have the full set of templates available here, and the only other way of getting them is to be a member of the Axelos PRINCE2 partnership scheme, which you have to pay for. One-step generic process. This is the first of our N-step family of methods, and this is really for things that are probably traditionally fall below the project threshold. They're activities, and so it's a very simple set of documentation to manage that activity, but you can hold it in the same framework and structure that you do the rest of your projects, because sometimes of course things change, and so you can actually take one of these activities and upscale it into our smallest type of project if you need to, because you realise later on that's more substantial than you thought. This is a 3-step process. This is the smallest of our standard project methodologies. It's for single delivery activities only, single delivery stages only, and it has a core set of documentation for managing a project at this level. This is interchangeable with a 1-step project, so you can start as a 3, realise you've got it not quite right, downgrade it to a 1 if you needed to, or start with a 1 and upgrade it to a 3. All the tools, templates, and process materials, guidance, etc. are included again. 4-step method. This is essentially the 3-step method plus multiple stages or delivery options. When you're running on Community Edition, you just have one type of stage. That's our standard waterfall type stage. But if you're using multi-user platforms, you can pick multiple different stage types. So you could have an agile stage for a prototyping exercise, followed by a couple of purchases, followed by some traditional waterfalls, etc. And you can design what those are going to be. So for mid-complexity, as we describe it, traditional projects. This is the largest of the n-step methods, the 5-step. Again, it uses multiple stages for delivery and documentation, just like with the 4-step associated with that, but it's got a bigger set of documentation, and it includes a direction process as well. And these are a typical flow of a family, and there's plenty of other videos around the n-step methods, and people find them very popular. They're by far the most common methods used on the system, and personalised to match corporate requirements as well. Practical Scrum, this is a brand new method released in 2018. It uses all the traditional best bits of Scrum, but it wraps it in the sort of layer wrapper that corporates find very helpful, by giving a bit more conventional controls and a sort of launch activity which makes sure we've got business cases and benefits identified properly and managed, etc., so that it fits in with reporting. Available again across all the platforms, and you can personalise it above Community Edition. DSDM Atern is the DSDM Agile method. It's a little bit more structured and documented perhaps than Scrum, and it's one we've been providing for quite a while. Again, available on all the different platforms for you to use. It includes the guidance materials, etc. again. Praxis Framework, like I say, this is a low complexity interpretation. We are working on a couple of Praxis interpretations for bigger projects and programs as well. It comes with a full set of documentation, all the processes, links back to the Praxis website for all the guidance materials, so that you can expand your knowledge and understanding. And of course, Praxis is now supported by an examination course as well, so it's starting to become a decent alternative for PRINCE2. PPP is our proposal preparation process. It's taking the idea of a method around a project, but it's a sales activity, if you like, as a project, starting off with identifying the opportunity, going through to successful or unsuccessful bids, storing all that documentation, so that you've got it all in a structured format, you're following a process, etc. Again, all the templates and materials you might need to use that, and again, you can personalize it for your own requirements. Now we've got the PRINCE2 method template. This is the official one. It includes all the structured process steps. You access and drill down through each process, and you see the documents and materials that are relevant to you at that point in the process. It includes some guidance as well, but it's all about that structure of matching it back against the PRINCE2 manual. Just £15 on our single user Community Edition and Enterprise Edition. Quite a popular addition to Community Edition and Personal Edition. Quite a popular addition or addition to those editions for people using it to support their training quite commonly. MSP, so we've got the Managing Successful Programs methodology. This includes large parts of the manual as well as guidance material, as documents within the set, but it's sat here to manage your program. The repeatable elements within it would be your projects. On Community Edition, it's a pretty good reference guide. On the multi-user platforms, you can interlink your projects and your programs and share the documentation live between the two, which is really quite a powerful thing. Then we have the things we're supporting best practice. We've got lessons learned library, allowing you to merge and save the content between projects that is relevant to lessons, and that might be your lessons log itself, end project reports, it might be issue and risk registers, things like that. Available on our on our multi-user platforms, Small Team Enterprise and Live Edition. PMO Best Practice, similar sort of thing. It's an empty set of placeholders for you to store best practice materials. They can then be linked down into your methods if you want to, or available for users to come and access that, supporting the rollout of your PMO, and of course its continued development. And you can build your own methods. All of these can be personalized once you get beyond Community Edition, to change the diagrams, change the color schemes and the logos and the template content, and in fact how all that process structure works. You can put in your own completely different process structures should you want to. So you can choose how it looks and what it's got in it. We can give you the tools so you can go away and do that yourself, or we can help you do that. We can of course also advise you, having done many of these with many organizations over the years. So that is a summary of all the methods and what available modes they are provided in. Let's go and have a look at at that working in practice. We're going to look at that on Community Edition. This is the version you can download for free and go away and use. When you open it, you'll come in with this Getting Started screen, and you'll see you can open an existing project from your library, and I've got a few projects in here, plus some extra ones that I've created myself. We're going to create a new project there just to see how easy that is. So I'm going to create my project called Test, and I'm going to choose it from one of the available types of project. So we're going to choose a 5-step method here, 5-step end step. So that's now created that, and I can come and open that project up. And here we can see our navigation diagram. As I click through the processes, it shows me the documentation that's relevant at that point. So here we're going to be creating a project mandate, and for which we have a template. And also we have an empty placeholder for collecting the communications and documentation that we're going to have in our discussions. To see the file, I simply double click on it, it opens the template. Here's our standard mandate template to read. If I want to make some changes to it, I would instead check it out. And I can then open it for checkout. I can make some changes into it like that. Simply save and close and check in. And it's going to store a version of that. And in fact, I'm always going to keep storing versions of the files as I change them. If I want to add some new content, I can just add that nice and easily by browsing or by drag and drop. So I'll come to that PM and boards comms, and I've got an email here from somebody. I can just drag that on like that. It's included in here. I've got some notes of meetings from people. Again, I can drag that in. That's going to be included in the documentation as standard. I can also set up links to other sources of information like websites and add new templates from the template library, etc. But I'm working on my process, which is concept. As I come through and look at then start, I see a whole load more things that I need to work on, which I didn't need to be distracted with during concept, but now I need to know about. So it's showing me those. And it'll always show me the latest available version. So I'll always, when I come to the mandate, see my latest copy, and I can see the history if I wanted to go back and look at earlier ones, and I can see the things I've been collecting. So the system is structured. It has a library of documentation, but it's only showing you the things that are relevant to where you are currently. And as you jump further through, you'll see all that. We can come and add stages. This project is working on stages, multiple different deliverables. So I'm going to do, we'll add a new one, and we'll add another new one, which we'll call new stage 2. Like that. And when I come back here, it's added in the standard block of documentation for each of my stages as well. So built into that whole method structure is that idea of project level things that are relevant at the stage. And in some processes we see a different range of things. So if we come to close, for example, when we're closing our project, we're going to be interested in have we got an acceptance record and project reports, things like that. Follow-on recommendations that we may not have seen earlier in the process, but for each of our stages we're going to want to make sure we've wrapped each of those up correctly as well, and so it's showing us the relevant material from those. So it's a really useful structure for guiding you through all the things you need to be doing as you're delivering a project of that type. Let's have a look at a couple of other ones. So we'll come in here and look at the Praxis example. Load of links through to the guidance materials where I can jump straight in, find my project, again work my way through the steps, see the documentation that I need, links to guidance for the content as well, or jumping through to the next parts of the process, what am I going to need in terms of documentation and guidance. All there laid out for me. Different methodology with different content, but once you've used one of them, this idea of click and navigate becomes pretty straightforward. So let's have a look at one other one here. We'll have a look at the new Scrum one. Again, very different sort of approach, but we get the same idea. I click into launch, I see things about setting up my corporate governance type side, my mandate, business case, etc. And I'm into also my Scrummy type documents like product backlogs and sprint planning to start my sprint off, and I come into daily Scrum and I see the things I'm going to need to be working on. And of course, my repeatable element here is going to be sprints. So it's going to be the documentation associated with each sprint that appears in that area. So again, it's just taking me through all those things. I've got all the templates I need, and all of that is available in here in Community Edition completely for free. It lays out all of that material against all of those different methods that we saw, so you can download it and just get using it. It's not a time trial. You can use it forever if you want to, and there are upgrade routes out of it. You can go to Personal Edition, which is again a personal tool but with extra customization and reporting capabilities, or up to the multi-user platform, and then you can share this content with your colleagues under permissions control, in and out access, etc. Okay, so I hope you found that useful. That really is just a quick whirlwind tour through. You know, there are lots of different methods available here, and many customers will add their own or personalize those further to get it exactly how they want it. So it's here for you to use to help you get more consistency and best practice into the projects that you're delivering. Okay, thank you very much.